I want to compare and contrast two CEOs that are out there right now. Well, actually, I don't really know what Elon Musk is now that Twitter's a private company. He's in charge of Twitter. Okay, so leaders of large companies that are out there. We're going to compare and contrast the two. On one hand, you have somebody who is taking a company that was in the absolute worst state that it's been in. Okay, let's be completely honest. Before Elon Musk entered the fray, even though we'd have to cast our minds back to right at the beginning of this year, what was Twitter? It was kind of a dead, dying platform where everybody was just kind of wondering, okay, if any of the big tech platforms were eventually going to collapse. Easily, right there. You could see, you could smell the bloat off of Twitter from a mile away, sorry. So it was very obvious that it was eventually just going to curl up and die. But the only thing that kind of is curling up and dying is, well, the old Twitter, because as of right now, I know, man, it's like every once in a while you'll see something that's trend off to the side, which continues to just update all nice and fine. No. Twitter is dying, Twitter is dead, hashtag rip or rip Twitter or something like that. It'll trend, and oh yeah, it is on death's doorstep right now, obviously, because Elon Musk, he's just firing all of these sweet people that are in this picture right there. Like, you take a look at some of those, soy beards that are there, and old date rapist back there in the purple polo. I don't know who the fuck he is, and I'm sure maybe he's a nice guy, okay? Or the guy who's standing right there in the back, okay? He's probably sent out a few send Bobs and Vagine texts. But you can take a look at all of those plastic smiles, and like I said before, there's certain things that you can smell from a mile away, and from that right there, you can smell the disappointment, box wine, and kitty litter coming off of that picture. That is Twitter before, okay? They got a bunch of nice chalkboards and a beautiful little wood icon. Oh my god, it's just so nice, and there's just such diversity in this picture. But then you take a look at, current day Twitter, a little bit better of a position, and oh boy, not a lot of diversity in that picture right there. That is just some dudes who are there to fucking work. My guys right here, the actual guys who are in the fucking trenches, the guys who are putting in the ones and the zeros, making the shit run expertly, okay? Like, I've been using Twitter a little bit more than, I have probably ever, seemingly like everybody else. Now, I know it's Elon Musk, and he has a vested interest in the health and wellness of the company. He's the one who's saying that, all-time usages are being reported at Twitter seemingly week after week, and it's like, okay, don't really know for sure if we can be going on his metrics, but whose else do we have to go off of right now? So at least, that seems like about the best we can do. And shout out to Lauren Chen, actually, for doing this comparison right here. It's funny, all things said and done. And I know I like to, call out these tradcon women that are just, have a stench of grift on them. But I know sometimes people lump Lauren Chen into this, but I don't know, man. Like, I haven't really seen any of this stuff, because like, outside of just a couple of people on the periphery, she's about the only person, probably about the biggest presence on the platform, who's also calling for Milo to get reinstated, and then also screen capping and reposting, quite possibly a horrifically poor take by this Lindsay Boylan lady of a meme that Elon Musk put out. Now, I also seen him retweet, and then, I don't know, he must have gotten rid of it, which was just kind of weird, because it was just a meme. It was a Family Guy meme of Lois, I don't know, like going through withdrawals or something like that, and then having a pill bottle off to the side. It was the exact same thing that you had there. Okay, you had Donald Trump as Lois, and then off to the side, Donald Trump's reactivated Twitter account, and her just kind of, side-eyeing it, and it's like, it's funny, because we all know that Trump was on Twitter 24/7, okay, and the fact that he hasn't come back to the platform now that it's at its all-time high in relevance, and then that the moment that Trump makes one singular tweet, he becomes the most famous man on earth. So yeah, it was a good meme, but I guess he found one of his own, and my guy right here is like, okay, Donald Trump being a monk or something like that. I was like, I don't know my Jesus stuff, okay? And then you got to whore off into the corner with the old Twitter over the box, and it was like, that shit is funny as fuck. And lead us not into temptation. Very hilarious. Very funny. I seen that, and it's like, it's just another day on Twitter now, isn't it? But then, yes, the previously mentioned and criminally unfunny Lindsay Boylan, Rape Culture America. What? Brought to you by billionaire owner of this site and a former president. disgusting. Yeah, a whore in a brothel. Bruh. I'm sure you probably have worse fantasies, okay? Probably starts like this and then it ends with fucking leathers and whips and chains, so shout out to Lauren Chen for, you know, the screen cap and all this stuff and providing some of these very relevant, very good tweets that are out there, okay? I think she probably just gets lumped into that whole Lauren Southern, that whole sphere. There's a couple of other people that, you know, I would throw on top of that as well. I just haven't seen the evidence against her, and I think it's probably just because, you know, she's like an attractive, no simping or anything like that, just like an attractive, conservative female that's out there, but she seems to keep 10 toes down, so you know what, hey, again, shout outs to her. Don't know too much about her content. I didn't watch Roaming Millennial back when it was, you know, a big thing, and now she's made the pivot to her given name, so, hey, man. Good stuff, good stuff. But hearkening back to the original picture here, okay, the functioning Twitter people that are there, okay? You got guys who, if you were to just go to central casting and ask, okay, we need a coder that is out there, what are you going to get? A bunch of Indian and Asian dudes, or I guess you just Asian dudes that are out there, and then, you know, a couple of white guys who, you know, when they beat World of Warcraft, I know that's not how it works, but had nothing better to do, they decided to make a living by continuing to just pound away at keyboards. And you know, there's a couple of women in the background, but that looks like your stereotypical 100% authentic computer sciences course right there, okay? From all the accounts that I've seen out there, okay, everything that I've heard, that's what that looks like right there. And guess what? Twitter has never ran better than it has right now, except for the weird rollout of Twitter Blue, but it's like outside of that, man. I don't know if that was necessarily a platform problem as much as there was such wild demand for it and then just the after effects weren't completely thought through. It's like Elon Musk's a genius, but even geniuses make mistakes. But to just back up these claims, okay, yeah, like I was showing here before we went back, just as a refresher. Matt Wenzing, okay, he apparently works at Twitter, like he's stating right here, and this one got a whole bunch of traction, okay? I seen it posted yesterday. I still work at Twitter. I used to attend meetings about tweaking the icons. Wow, you take a look at, well, yeah, the previous picture right there, and I even noted that there was a goofy little bird that was out there. Forgot that was in there. Anyways, last night I drank 8 Red Bulls and rewrote the worst parts of our direct messaging backend. I've never felt this alive since CS301. That must be a programmer thing or a nerd thing. I don't know, but okay. Thank you, Elon. So it sounds like the people that are still there, you know, the productive people that didn't fall victim to the massive culling that happened, are going in there, putting their skills to work, and having the best time that are out there. That's kind of what you want for people that work at these big tech platforms. You always want somebody who enjoys their job, enjoys their profession, right? You don't want somebody to go in there and try and change the place up, okay? We need wine on tap, okay? We need a little soundproof boxes where people can just go chill for a little while. We need mint-flavored hot towels, just in case somebody needs to decompress after like a hard day's work. All of that shit's gone. All of the nerds that want to be there are there, being tasked with projects and seemingly knocking them out of the park. So in my opinion, Twitter is being run extremely well. Then, on the other hand, for the other part of this comparison, you got Disney. You got Disney making a big CEO change. Kind of funny, right? Because this is the second time, okay, in just about 3-year time period, okay, where they've had a CEO change. But this is a returning CEO, the guy from beforehand. It's kind of interesting timing, okay, that Bob Iger, the old CEO, now the new CEO, meet the old boss, same as the old boss, literally in this case. Now, I forget the entire situation around why he was stepping down to begin with at the beginning of 2020, but I remember the platform in which Bob Chapek, okay, the outgoing, well, now he's completely gone, so the former CEO, okay, why he came into this situation, because he was supposed to be the straight-laced, kind of a deviation from Bob Iger, because Bob Iger, I think what Gary from Nerdrotic likes to call him the weatherman, because he's all style, no substance, okay? He was the guy who orchestrated the ESPN deal, the Marvel deal, Star Wars deal, and all that type of stuff. He's not a creator. He is just a taker and raper and pillager. Let's just call that exactly what it is, because what has Disney done with all of those IPs except for just make them fucking terrible? So instead of being the guy at the top, okay, who had to answer for those crimes, I just stepped away knowing when things were going to be going going sideways, okay? Because what was happening at the beginning of 2020? We don't need to retread all of that old ground, right? All of Phase 4 was already laid out, right? Because Endgame had just came out, okay? Avengers Endgame. Everybody knows what I'm talking about anyways, right? Isn't it like the biggest fucking movie in the world or whatever? But it just came out at the end of 2019. Summer of 2019. I haven't watched it or anything like that. I fucking gave up on all that shit anyway. So, okay. That came out and they were laying out all of the yuck that was supposed to be coming out over the next couple of years. And actually, we might as well just cap this off right now because, hey, guess what? Wakanda Forever fucking nosedived at the box office and it's still underperforming estimates. It looks like those shaming tactics, the insulting tactics, the guilting people into the box office, yeah, it didn't end up proving you guys, right at the end of the day. Wakanda Forever posts a $67 million second weekend, down 63%. Okay, the second weekend is coming in lower than it's projected, $70 million at $67.3 million. That's not necessarily something to be worried about. Why Thor Love and Thunder came in under projections even after those projections were adjusted as well. Same with Multiverse of Madness, same with Shang-Chi, same with the Eternals. Y'all remember those movies? They came out too during the same time frame that Bob Iger set all this stuff up at, and it's like, oh fuck, I better leave right now. But then at the same time, now that all those receipts are coming back in, it's like, oh, guess who can come save the day? The guy who was in charge during the most profitable time in Disney's history, right? Yeah, we see what the fuck is going on here. But yeah, no, Wakanda Forever, nobody's going to fucking remember that stuff in a couple weeks' time. And it should be. I thought that there was a good opportunity, okay, with all of the marketing that was around that. Like, everybody was big sad about the death of Chadwick Boseman. And it's like, I understand. Didn't watch any of his movies or anything like that. But he also went out on his shield like a total fucking Chad, okay? He was dying of cancer. He didn't make it about himself, okay? It was a complete shock and a complete surprise when he did end up passing away because he didn't make that all about himself. So, you know what? Hey, I've got nothing but respect for him, and I've got nothing but detestation for Marvel and Disney for the way that they tried to market that as come see Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, because you weren't allowed to come to his funeral, so you can come, I don't know, and grieve and feel bad about the movie that would just, end up coming out afterwards. Waste 2 hours, 41 minutes of your fucking time being bored out of your fucking skull. But no, it's funny that once again, another Marvel movie, even with adjusted downward projected numbers, ends up missing its mark once again. Oh, now, hey, guess what? Disney's back on track. Everything's back, guys, because we got a new CEO. Whew. All right, so Bob Iger reached out to the House of Mouse employees Sunday with the shocking news that he's replacing Bob Chapek, the chief executive, effective immediately, noting an increased sense of gratitude and humility. And I must admit, a bit of amazement. He's not the only one. Yes, so many people, because like I was saying before, Bob Chapek was brought in. He was supposed to be the money guy because Bob Iger had accomplished everything, okay? But Chapek was really good at running those theme parks, okay? He was in charge of that stuff before he came into the CEO role. And it's like, well, where does Disney make all of its money? Because it is a huge fucking industry at the end of the day. Disney still shits gold coins at the end of the day. Like, that's a fucking fact. But you know what? It could have handled a couple of bombs at the box office, okay? It could have handled, Black Widow with its borked release, half on Disney Plus, half in the theaters, and it still made, what, $140 million opening weekend? Like, it was still doing fine, okay? But then Shang-Chi, not making $1 billion, okay? The Eternals, that movie was literally, guys, supposed to save lives, and nobody fucking remembers anything about it. And then, yeah, the 3 that came out this year where it's like, wow, oof, all of them fucking sucked, okay? And if you're going to be making a pattern of this stuff going forward, and you take a look at the rest of this stuff laid out in Phase 5, Phase 6 of Marvel, let alone anything that's happening over at Disney, everything that's going over to Star Wars. Anybody even know any of the fucking projects that are coming out there? When's the next movie slated? Because I remember back when Star Wars used to be just, the 3 films, and then it was 6 films. But no, man, continue to just shit out those fucking TV shows that nobody cares. Like, is Andor still going or whatever? It doesn't really much matter. There was just 2 other Star Wars shows that came out this year. Actually, could have even been more than that. It's just those are the only ones that I'm aware of. But all the press releases that you see coming out from Disney themselves, from their movie or their television department, it's all this weird woke stuff. And not even to mention the shit that happened earlier this year with the Florida's parental rights and education bill. That is basically don't say gay. I remember what Bob Chapek, the former CEO, remember what he was doing? He was going to try to stay silent. It's like he knows that a lot of money is made in Florida because that's where Disney World is, right? He had Disney World, okay? All of their theme parks are down there. They have special tax designation. They didn't want to rock the boat. But all of those activists that were brought in and encouraged by that motherfucker right there, oh, they were causing a big old stink. And then Bob Chapek just decided to bend the knee super fucking hard and then bury himself in the ground. And then guess what? Disney theme parks lost their tax exempt status. Or something happened with the tax coding on those Disney parks that are out there. And that ended up hitting the bottom line super fucking hard. And Disney's been in a bit of a spiral, but you know who's going to come back and right the ship? The guy who just spends a bunch of money, and the guy who, well, realistically put Disney in the position it is in right now. But hey, man, everybody's big happy because everybody's friend is now back up at the top. So let's read a little bit more about this. A tale of two Bobs, Bob, has been ongoing since Chapek surprisingly replaced Iger in early 2020, just as the coup fit. Wow, it's almost like somebody who has presidential aspirations, Bob Iger, that is. He wrote that in his biography or some shit like that. It's like, this guy's, it's weird because that would be weird. Who would have more power, theoretically? Disney or the President of the United States? Disney CEO or President of the United States? Who would have more sway on the global stage? Maybe Iger took some time and, played a couple of rounds of golf and stood in front of a green screen with a big long fucking pointer. Maybe he came to the realization that, actually it's CEO in today's day and age. But yeah, just a little bit more of the refresher course here. Turned into a bit of a feud as the new CEO was said to resent the former breathing down his neck. Some high-profile missteps had Wall Streeters and the industry insiders questioning Chapek's future at the company, but those voices grew more muted after Disney's board of directors appeared to settle the question by voting in June unanimously to renew his original contract, which expired in February of 2023 with a new 3-year deal. It was slated... that started July 1st. Bob, which one, is the right leader at the right time for the Walt Disney Company, and the board has full confidence in him and his leadership team. The board, led by Susan Arnold, said in the full statement. Is that the same same lady who said that now all of the future characters, we're going to have half of them on the, can't say that word, on the gay spectrum? It's gonna be great, guys. And why isn't anybody coming to our original? Why didn't you bigots come see Lightyear? We had gay people kissing. It was very progressive. Chapek abrupt termination follows Disney's below par fiscal fourth quarter. Like, again, he was brought in as the nuts and bolts guy, Chapek, okay? He runs the parks efficiently. Bob Chapek, Bob Paycheck, that was, people on the inside, that's what they would refer to him as, because he was the penny pincher, okay? But it's like, okay, if you're just going to capitulate to the woke people, and then you end up not producing when it comes to finances, it's like, bro, pack your shit and get the fuck out. You should have known this one was coming. Bob Iger's full memo below reads, okay, dear fellow employees and cast members. And it's like, who's this bitch? I wonder if his email ended up going into spam to begin with, because you're supposed to be retired, bro. Okay, it was an incredible sense of gratitude and humility, and I must admit, a bit of amazement. I write to you this evening with the news that I am returning to the Walt Disney Corporation as Chief Executive Officer. Well, I look at the creative successes of our teams across the studios, Disney, General Entertainment, ESPN, and International. The rapid growth of our streaming services. Yep, just continue to pump out content. Jangle keys at the end of first content to get people excited for second content. Continue ad nauseum. The phenomenal reimagining and rebound of our parks. If that was true, Chapek would still be in charge. But all right, the continued great work of ABC News, and so many other achievements across our business. I am in awe of your accomplishments, and I'm excited to embark on you with many new endeavors. You know what? You wouldn't be coming in if all of that shit was fucking successful, okay? You could argue the streaming service is growing, but you don't release any of the numbers. We don't actually know. But She-Hulk was like super popular. You guys remember that happened a few weeks ago? Anyways, I know this company has asked so much of you during the past 3 years, and these times certainly remain quite challenging. But you have heard me say before, I am an optimist. And I am learning one thing from my years at Disney is that even in the face of uncertainty, perhaps especially in the face of uncertainty, our employees and cast members achieve the impossible. Got your old job back. Like, Christ almighty, you're not fucking turning water into wine here, bro. Like, just fucking calm down. You will be hearing more from me and your leaders tomorrow and in the weeks ahead. In the meantime, allow me to express my deep gratitude for all that you do. Disney holds a special place in the hearts of people around the globe thanks to you and your dedication to this company. And its mission to bring joy to people through great storytelling is an inspiration to me every single day. Yeah, it used to be the raison d'etre of the fucking Disney back in the cut, because I got so many Disney movies, okay? Like, my favorite. Have I said this one before? Like, you guys probably would think that this one's a little bit, off-brand for me, but my favorite's Aladdin. Like, that's my absolute favorite Disney film, okay? And then the next one, yeah, probably Lion King, and then Toy Story after that, and I'd really have to sit down within an entire list or something like that. But yeah, growing up, I think just like all the other kids that were out there, okay, you had the big VHS boxes, because I'm a man of a certain age, okay? You had the white plastic big VHS boxes, okay? We had all the hits growing up, okay? With the exception of Beauty and the Beast, which normally around Christmas time, whenever that one was on television, have to make sure and watch that one. God, did show. Like, it was a good Christmas special back in the day. But anyways, yeah. Like, from all the old classics, all the old 40, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all the way. Not too many of the 70s and 80s during the Goofy period, but then definitely during the Renaissance, okay? Like Lion King, Aladdin. I even kind of like Return of Jafar, but Aladdin and the King of Thieves is pretty good. Hercules. Oh, Hercules is really great. Not a big fan of Mulan. I thought that was also during like the tail end. Didn't that come out in like 1999, 2000? Yeah, I was kind of moving on to better stuff. I was turning 10 at that point. Okay, it was about done with Disney films. Until you go back and watch it with, like a adult sensibility, and it's like, wow, that's actually like really well written. But I'd argue Disney, like so many other things, it just hasn't been all that wholesome or really maintain their original vision for the past, what are we putting it now, 10 years? At least five. I would argue probably even further back than that, but I'll meet you about halfway. 7? Call it 7. And then when that pivot began, who was the guy who was leading the charge? Bob motherfucking Iger. But one thing is for certain, during this time of very high volatility, one thing is 1000% for certain, people like stability. Boomers boomer prospectors that are out there, it's like, oh my god, Bob Iger's back. He was the guy who made so much money. Oh my god, you remember all those billion-dollar Marvel films that were out there? Remember how much money the Star Wars films were making? He can do that again. It's like, okay. Shares of Walt Disney Company were up 10% in pre-market trading early Monday as investors on Wall Street were jubilant over the news that Robert Iger would return to the helm of the House of Mouse in place of ousted CEO Bob Chapek. Well, it's not like he's going to be getting, the preferred tax status back for Disney World anytime soon, okay? Because Iger is 1000% an ideologue. Chapek was just kind of confined. Not trying to run cover for any of these fucking guys. Like, I don't know them from a hole in the wall. All I know is what their policies are in place and why they are in the places that they are. Just Chapek got caught up in the mix with all of the people that Iger put in place to begin with, and he was only able to really maneuver in a couple of different ways. So because Chapek had so many people breathing down his neck in order to capitulate with the activist class that just permeate all of Disney, well, his hands were tied in this situation. Disney stock is expected to flirt with an opening price of $100 a share when the bell rings in the New York Stock Exchange on Monday morning. Looks like it hit it, right? 150 cents. Cool. 71-year-old Iger was reinstated as chief executive officer by the company's board late Sunday night, replacing his hand-picked successor, Chapek, 62, who departs after a rough 2.5-year tenure that saw Disney stock plummet some 53% over the last 20 months. Shares in Disney went from an all-time high at $197.16 in March of last year to $91.80 close to trading on Wall Street on Friday. Fucking oof. Chapek will exit his perch atop Disney an even richer man. Severance package is reportedly worth more than $23 million. Yeah, I don't really cry for any of these people. All I do is just cry for, future childhoods that are out there, because Disney's not going to be getting better anytime soon, and they still have all of the funding that they really need. Like, if you think this right here is gonna break Disney, this might be the inciting action if they don't write the course in an appropriate amount of time. They can't read the tea leaves, which, not saying that is or isn't going to be the situation. All I'm saying is there's a bunch of, beloved stories. I can't even say franchises. There's some old stories that are out there that were brought to public conscious by Disney, which Walt was kind of an innovator for just adapting fairy tales. Like, that's an entire rabbit hole to go down. How Disney became Disney, and many other people that focus on media content have already done that stuff ad nauseum, so I would just be throwing my hat into a very well populated ring, so we'll just continue and just about wrap this up here. All of these people are going to be well compensated for any of the time that they spent. As per terms of his contract, Chapek is entitled to collect his full salary that was scheduled to receive during the entire duration of his term as CEO. Yeah, so he's still getting paid for that additional extension that he received. Bloomberg calculated that Chapek's exit package, by factoring in the pension that he earned over his decades of service at the House of Moose, as well as his base salary and stock options. Yeah. Earlier this month, Disney reported weaker than expected earnings for fourth quarter, a disappointing end to a year. The company generated record profits and revenue in its theme parks, but was also hit with losses in its streaming and digital departments. No, I thought streaming was doing really well. It's almost like more content doesn't equate to better sales. It almost relies on the quality of content that's out there. Anyways, the board has concluded that as Disney embarks in an incredibly complex period of industry transformation, case in point, we need to figure out what the fuck is going on here. Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. Susan Arnold, chairman of the board, said, "We thank Bob Chapek for his service to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through an unprecedented..." Yeah, we already read through all that shit. In September, Iger joined Thrive Capital, a venture firm ran by Josh Kushner, the brother of real estate scion and former President Donald Trump's son-in-law. Oh no, he's still the son-in-law. Okay, it's just the way that they worded that is odd. Son-in-law Jared Kushner, who's not going to be a part of Trump politics anymore in the future. Thank fucking God. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting. Outside of leaks and rumors, we're never ever going to get to the bottom of why Chapek was ousted, because he's been well paid, and you're not going to see much course correction from Iger because, all of the shit that's going on when it comes to putting out actual content from Disney and the umbrella encompassing the family of Disney content that's out there, that's all from his doing. Okay, those are the flowers from the seed that Iger planted all those years ago. Now that's all coming to fruition. But if they can find a way to replicate the success from earlier in the year into the theme parks, everything will be fine and copacetic over there. I just find it incredibly interesting, because a staple in the entertainment world is going through such an unprecedented amount of uncertainty. But the only thing anybody wants to talk about right now is how a multi-billionaire is successfully running a platform that is basically dying, guys. Oh my God. But anyways, with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Watch it, follow your gut, and get after it. Take care, everyone.